Walking past the posters of Robert Smith, John Bovey, and Bob Dylan on the way to Gus's office caused her to not think about how cool they were or wondering about what it'd be like to have live their lives, but rather how they felt when they released each of their first albums. Luna knocked on the door to Gus's office, which was quickly followed by Gus telling them, "Come on in." "Hey, Gus," Fawn greeted as she swung open the door. "Here there are my groovy gothic chickets," Gus exclaimed in excitement. "It's nearly your big day. How are each of you are feeling?" "I'm doing good. More than in just disbelief that is happening," Luna admitted it. "Same. I'm really excited that we're finally releasing it," Fawn added. "Yeah, it's exciting, but also shocking. It's been a long time coming," Dusk echoed. "I wouldn't expect you to feel any differently," Gus smiled. "Almost all the artists have managed over the years have felt the exact same way." "Oh, before we forget, we want to invite you to something tonight," Fawn started. "We're having this album release party. Yes, that's an excellent idea," Gus interrupted Fawn. "How did you know?" Fawn gasped. "We haven't even get a chance to tell you yet." "Oh," Gus stuttered, with his posture visibly stiffening. "Bridget told me." "Oh, good." Fawn felt a little weirded by Gus's reaction for a moment, but then realized that Gus must have felt bad for ruining their fun surprise. "Can you make it?" Dusk inquired. "Of course I can," Gus exclaimed. "I wouldn't miss anything like that in the world. This is a milestone moment in your artistic careers." "Great," Luna exclaimed. "And we're just thinking of having some appetizers and drinks, then playing the album on the way through, with some commentary about whatever inspiration each song was," Fawn added. "Well, to do that, you'll need a copy of the album," Gus smiled, as he handed them a CD. The girls' faces were lit up when they saw a picture of them at the Autumn Fest at the front of the cover. "Whoa!" Dusk exclaimed. "Our very first CD!" Luna said in awe. "And it's yours to keep. The production company just finished producing discs today, and the rest were sent to stores to be put out tonight at midnight," Gus explained. Wow, this was the only word that came into Fawn's lips. Her thoughts were a lot more intelligent than that, but she was experiencing many feelings at once, so it was the sole thing to come to mind. "It'll be so interesting to see how the album does, and if it boosts Hex Girls on the chart at all," Luna noted. "I wonder that if we'll start having to think about releasing the second single," Dusk pondered. "Girls, this is a bit premature thought, but I think I should ask since it's the possibility of the album becoming incredibly successful. Have you ever thought about touring?" Gus inquired. "Touring?" Fawn exclaimed, admittedly a bit louder than she needed to. "No," Luna laughed. "I can say with certainty, it's illustrated by Fawn's reaction, that we've never even thought about touring." "Well, perhaps you should. Your song is getting more popular, by the way, and if the entire album is popular than the song is, then it clearly shows people that you would have interest in seeing you girls perform," Gus pointed out. Dusk stuttered. "I'm not sure what to say. We'd never thought about a tour. I mean, a couple weeks ago, we were still struggling to each finish the album." "Don't worry, I'm not asking you to pick dates now, or even commit touring if that's not what you want," Gus chuckled. "I just wanted you to start thinking about it." "Okay, good." Luna seemed relieved. Fawn wondered if she meant that she didn't want to tour. Fawn was open to touring, although immediately it seemed a bit quick. Perhaps several months after the album came out, if it was successful, she'd be open to do a short tour. The black-haired goth knew from talking to Dusk in the past that she would be more than happy to do touring. In fact, it was a goal for the blonde to tour at some point. Fawn chose not to worry about Luna's skepticism to the tour at the moment. She would make sure that they talk about it for some point later. "Was there anything else you wanted to talk about the album before the release tomorrow?" Gus inquired. "No, I don't think so," Dusk shrugged. "Yeah, we're just excited to see how our album release does," Luna responded. We can do and ask any questions you have for the album's release too, if anything comes up, Thorne pointed out. You most certainly can, Gus smiled. Well, girls, that's all I had for you today. I just wanted to provide a space for you to ask questions and process your feelings if you need to. You most thank you for doing that. This was very nice, even if it was short, Thorne answered. It was my pleasure, girls, Gus responded. I'll see you girls at your apartment at 7. Dusk, Luna, and Thorne had quickly made a stop at the grocery store to pick up some fruit punch, sandwich fixings, chips and dip, the fruit platter, and 2 containers containing a dozen cookies each. Alright, the fruit punch is out. I've got the chips and dip on the table, Luna reviewed. And are the sandwich almost done, Dusk? I'm working on it, Dusk answered, as she finished putting the cheese and turkey on the last 2 buns. How about the cookies, Thorne? Luna asked. I'm putting them out on the tray right now, Thorne said, as she organized the cookies into groups. She put the chocolate chip ones on the right, the oatmeal raisin ones in the middle, and the peanut butter ones on the far so that it wouldn't touch the other 2 kinds, in case if anyone had a nut allergy. You seem to be organized. Well, I just want to make sure everything's perfect for the party. You know, since we've got so many people coming over, Luna explained. Now, Thorne understood why Luna was acting like this. Being an introvert, the red-haired ex-girl didn't like being in social situations that involved large groups of people, even if they were people she liked. Making sure everything was organized seemed to be the method of distracting herself from even thinking about it. Okay, the cookies are all out, Thorne informed. Yep, and as the sandwiches are, Dusk said slowly, to stretch out her words to the sandwiches. It would be on the table for them when she finished her comment. Just as Dusk stopped speaking, the doorbell buzzed. I can get it, Thorne offered. At first, he walked over to grab the door, as to not keep the person waiting. Upon opening, the black-haired Goth quickly saw that it was her guest. It was her father. Hi, Sally, Robert exclaimed, embracing his daughter in a warm hug. I bought a couple of gifts. Aw, Daddy, you shouldn't have, Thorne smiled. They're just small things, I promise, Robert laughed, as he bent down to pick some up. Apparently he left at the door and picked up a mix of bouquet flowers and 3 bracelets, handing them all to Thorne. Thorne glanced at them at the bracelets, as she handed the other 2 to Dusk and Luna. They were beads with the letters spelling out Hex Girl, connected on a string. Aw, this is so sweet, thank you, Thorne appreciated, as the other 2 girls thanked him as well. Wow, this place looks great, Robert said, as he came into the apartment. As the girls decorated the place with a banner reading Happy Album Release, Thorne would hardly say the single decoration meant in place looked great, but she appreciated her father's kindness. Thanks, Daddy, Thorne answered. Well, you're the first one here. Feel free to grab a drink or some snacks while you're waiting. Let's see what we've got here, Robert observed the table in the kitchen. Oh, shoot! Dusk caught herself before swearing. We forgot the fruit platter in the fridge. I can grab it, Luna said as she hurried over to the fridge and took it out. As she set it on the table, Thorne familiarized herself with their options. There were grapes, pineapple, cantaloupe, and honeydew melon. Luna then snuck a couple of grapes and a pineapple slice. I freaking love fruit, Luna said, as her face lit up as she was savoring the pineapple. Robert picked out a moderate amount of food, a sandwich, a few chips, and some dip, and a piece of each type of fruit, and a chocolate chip cookie. Just as he was pouring himself a fruit punch in a red cup, Thorne heard another buzz at the door. I could grab it again, Thorne said to her surprise, as she saw Luna's parents carrying out several containers of food. Surprise! Trish exclaimed. We figured we want to bring some food to your little party. We brought some pulled pork. It's just finished cooking in the crock pot, so it could be still warm, Mark added. Thanks, guys, Thorne smiled. We already have food, Dusk exclaimed, before backtracking a bit when she realized her comment may have came off a bit forward, even though she hadn't intended it to be. Just some, though. Well, you can never have too much food when you're celebrating, Trish exclaimed. Where do you want this? Mark asked, holding a container of pulled pork. You could just put it on the table next to the sandwiches. Luna suggested. Clearly, she was talking to her self-improved duty as a party organizer very seriously. Thorn thought it was sweet that it gave her comfort to have her job to do it. Well, we brought out some buns and cheese as well, Trish revealed. Oh, Thorn thought for a moment. You could just put them over there by the pork on the table. Okay, hon, Trish said as she followed by Mark, who placed the cheese and buns next to the pot where they put the pork. Once they were set down to food, each of them gave Luna a hug. Hi, Kimmy. It's so great to see you again, Trish exclaimed as she gave her daughter a tight squeeze. Hello, sweetie. Congratulations. Mark wrapped his arms around Luna. Another buzz. I can get it this time, Dusk offered, as she scurried over to the door. She smiled as she saw who it was. Hi, Dusk, Gus greeted. What a nice apartment you girls have. Thorn quickly saw that Bridget, Nia, and Sam were right behind them. Hey, Bridget exclaimed. I can't believe it's finally our special night. Yeah, and if you guys want to grab some food, we've got a bunch over here at the table, Dusk informed, as she shut the apartment door. We've got fruit punch too, or water if that in the fridge if you like. As quickly, Bridget, Nia, and Sam head over to the snack table. The doorbell buzzed again. Hey there, Dusk, Jack said joyfully. Jack, so glad you made it, Dusk replied. I hope I'm not too late. I know I was cutting pretty close to it because the restaurant got pretty busy over dinner hour tonight, Jack explained. So has the party started without me? Dusk quickly glanced over at the wall. You're not late at all. It's still a minute before 7, actually. Great, Jack exclaimed. Looks like you guys have a lot of food. Yeah, we've got turkey, pulled pork sandwiches, some chips, and fruit and cookies, Dusk listed. Good, because I'm starved. I haven't eaten anything since lunch, Jack informed, as he hurried over to the food table. My parents aren't here yet, Dusk muttered to Thorn. I'm sure they'll be here right at 7, Thorn assured. Yeah, they wouldn't want to come every minute to have spent time with me, Dusk rolled her eyes. Oh, stop it, Thorn comforted. The sound of the doorbell demonstrated the black-haired goth in the correct of her guess. See, that's probably them. The minute that the hand on the clock reached and moved towards the read 7 exactly. 7 o'clock. See, what did I tell you? They didn't show up a minute before 7, Dusk said, as she went over to get the door. Thorn was quite surprised that it was the arriving guests were not Dusk's parents, rather Haley and Anne from the coffee shop. Hi, Anne exclaimed. Congratulations. Thank you, Dusk said, sounding a bit surprised that it wasn't who she expected it. Hey, Haley greeted. We were a little worried we weren't going to find the place. Anne and I carpooled together, and we got a bit turned around. We found it, though, thankfully, Anne added. Sorry for getting lost, but thanks for coming, though. Oh, Dusk appreciated. If you guys are hungry, there's food on the table. Sandwiches, chips, fruit, and cookies. All that sounds good, Anne commented. I'm gonna go grab some food, but we'll be back over to walk and the talk in a minute. I want to hear all about the album. We're actually gonna get started playing the album here in a minute, Thorn jumped in. Yeah, we're just waiting for my parents. Dusk's tone got a bit more depressed. Can we get the CD queued up, Luna? Thorn asked. Already on it, Luna called from across the room. She looked at the CD in the player, pressing the stop button so that it would be ready to play whenever Dusk's parents arrive. A few moments later, Thorn then heard a knock on the door. It caught her by surprise. She was expecting them to buzz the doorbell like everyone else. Want me to go get it, Dusk? Thorn tried to be supportive. No, I've got it, Dusk said with a light sigh. Hello, darling, Dusk's mother Debbie said. She gave her daughter a very light hug, which wasn't particularly convincing. Partially because since it only lasted a few seconds. Hi, Jane, Aaron said, simply patting her on the back. It was almost uncomfortable for Thorn to watch. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad, Dusk tried to fake a smile. She hoped that Dusk's parents didn't notice, but Dusk was closely as she did. Thorn could tell that she was taking it. Alright, we're going to start playing the first album ever, Thorn announced, trying to give Dusk, and admittedly herself, to represent the discomfort. Now remember, The album isn't out until tomorrow, so you'll all have the first people here to ever listen to this album. Everyone sat down on the couch, as well as grabbing some extra folding chairs that the girls had pulled out earlier to listen to the album. Most people had plates of food, some larger than others. Aaron was currently in the process of grabbing a huge plate of food, including a turkey sandwich, a pulled pork sandwich, and a big pile of chips, and a glob of dip. It was one of every type of cookie. Debbie, Trish, Ish, Ann, Gus, and Bridget all have smaller plates of food with just one or two things each. Wasn't Nia, Sam, and Haley had somewhat moderate foods with anything, except Sam, who had just 2 cookies. Robert and Luna were also in the moderate amount of food club. Wizard, Thorn, and Dusk waited to get food after listening to the album. Alright, you've all heard the first, Thorn began, before Gus started speaking at the same line. If you girls don't mind, I'd like to propose you all a toast before we get started on the album, Gus interjected. My name is Gus Boggs, and I'm the Hexed Girls manager and producer. Thorn, Luna, and Dusk are most hand-working young women I've ever worked with, and they've truly put their heart and soul into this album. Even though I've only known them for a month, they have still driven their vision as musicians, and the artistic voices comes through very clearly in this album. Their first single album climbed up to number 25 with 2,485 plays this week on the top radio. Gus then paused for a moment, while everyone clapped and raised their fruit punch glasses, gently tapping the cup against the person who was next to them. Having listened to the album, I must say that's incredible, and I couldn't be more proud to elaborate these girls tonight, Gus continued. This party is not only celebrating this album, it's into a celebration of the girls' future as artists. They all truly deserve to be recognized for their hard work. Aaron attempted to subtly scoff. Thorn didn't think of the others were heard it at first, since she was quite sitting next to him, and it had come done quietly though. However, Dusk's eyes began to light up with anger, which immediately proved her wrong. Her assumptions were proved to be more wrong when Dusk wasn't the one to respond. I don't mean to be rude here, but is there something you'd like to share with us, sir? Gus glared at Aaron. Not partially, Aaron sneered. Good, Gus nodded in defiance. It seems to me that you scoffed at my toast. Perhaps I was wrong. Well, as a matter of fact, you're not wrong, Aaron challenged. I hardly see what the big deal is here. Yes, it is nice to see Jane and her friends made some music, but I certainly wouldn't call that hard work. I can confirm that your daughter is no run-out-of-the-mill singer. She's an artist with a vision, and she and her bandmates have put countless hours in making this album is perfect, Gus clarified, his tone remaining calm. As your daughter's manager and producer, I will assure you that she's put a ton of time into this. I'm not disagreeing that it's hard work to become a singer. It's just not real work, Aaron argued. Work isn't supposed to be fun and easy. I'm sorry you feel that way, Gus kept it with an even temper. Many people have to work very hard to make ends meet every day. Your daughter has chosen a bit of a less traditional path, but allows her to express her creativity. I would argue being creative for a living is just as hard and just as valid, but it's a traditional job. Working is the act of tapping, a special skill of talent. So, if you like, construction worker uses their physical strength to do manual labor, using the creativity by tapping the mental and emotional labor in order to your channel to have feelings into expression of artistry. Expressing your emotions isn't labor. What purpose do you have in serving life? If you go home every day and say, "Hi family, today I accomplished being sad," doing hard work is having a function in the world. You know it's making yourself useful. Personally, I think Jane would be far more useful working in a bank, or perhaps starting a small business, Aaron suggested. That's not what I want, Dad, Dusk shouted. That's what you want. It makes me happy to write songs. Well, I hate to break it to you, but happiness doesn't pay the bills. Aaron's tone got more angry. Thorn couldn't believe what was happening. It was some kind of nightmare. This was supposed to be Dusk's night to celebrate all the hard work she's put into. And her father was all saying of it creativity isn't real work. Honey, I think you need to calm down, Debbie tapped her husband on the shoulder. You're making people uncomfortable. Well, I'm sorry if I'm making anyone uncomfortable. Aaron lowered his tone normally to speak level. I'm just glad we're not all together to celebrate Jane's little night of popularity. I'm not saying that she didn't do a good job, because I'm sure she did. All I'm saying is that it's a silly act to do if she promoted to her CEO and is just releasing the cute little project and her friends made for her fun. I'm not against this party, but it's similar to a party that you have for winning a spelling bee or making an honor roll. It's a little fun accomplishment, but certainly not some major life achievement or something like that you're making it to be. Work doesn't have to be in a drudgery, Robert jumped in. You can have fun while you're working. In fact, if I argue, the most rewarding job work I have something makes you happy every day. As I do, but only if you're making yourself useful. I personally enjoy taking a hot shower every night, but I wouldn't be silly as to try to make a living doing that, Aaron psychologically defended. There's a lot of work and there's a lot of play, and clearly a few of you don't know the line between that. Unfortunately, that includes my daughter. Now, Foreign, you were saying something before your manager began speaking? Oh yes, Foreign smiled, trying not to look as anxious as she felt. She was sure as hell not going to take any diversion from this current topic she could get. Let's get started with the first album, Track 1's Hexed, which is our first song. We wrote it for fun in a music class project, which is how our band started. It's a little fun and an anthem of empowerment. I hope you enjoy it. The amazing room felt silent, which Foreign was beginning to play the music rather than just having them being uncomfortable with Aaron's rant. Haley started bobbing her head as Anne tapped her foot at the Hexed song played. I love this song, Trish exclaimed. It's so catchy. As the song began to play in this entirely, Foreign then got out of her seat and walked over to Dusk and Luna. Do you want to give out the intro of Earth, Wind, Fire, and Air, or should I? Foreign inquired. I could do it, Dusk offered. You want me to do the next one, Luna? We could just follow the pattern like the rest of the album if you want, Foreign offered. Sure, Luna shrugged. Foreign figured that she probably didn't want to do it because of how uncomfortable the situation with Dusk's father was. We're gonna put a spell on all of you, the Hexed Girl's friend on the CD as the song ended. This next one's called Earth, Wind, Fire, and Air. It's for our passion about the environment, and saying it's true that you're passionate about it in general. You know, regardless of it, it makes you look bad, Dusk said. Foreign felt a little bit subtle diss to her father, but had no evidence to back it up, nor that she and Dusk would have a time like this. This is my favorite of your songs, Bridget exclaimed, as Nia started bobbing her head to the beat. Sam joined in with Anne tapping the foot club. Luna then stood up for a few moments before the song was ending. Alright, the next one is Witch's Ghost. Enjoy, Luna briefly commented. While the song was played, Foreign tried to determine if Luna's short introduction to the song was simply because she was shy, or because no one wanted to talk to her about their encounter with Sarah Ravencroft's vengeful spirit. Foreign presumed it was the latter. Although 3 of the girls were comfortable about talking about it, they knew that everyone else would prefer to pretend it didn't happen. It was difficult for any of them to explain that the citizen of town from hundreds of years ago would rose up from the grave to try and take over the world. This is the first song we wrote after the Autumn Fest, Foreign explained, as the intro Who Do You Voodoo began. The song wasn't really too much of an inspirational backstory, but it's just for fun. Catchy, feel-good song, and it's one of our favorites. Foreign scanned the room to see everyone intently listening to the song, except for Aaron and Debbie. Debbie looked simply a bit bored, whereas Aaron looked completely disarranged, like if he was rather doing something else. Now we got into an interesting one. Dusk then stood up and said, Have any of you guys ever heard of The Cure? Robert, Trish, Bridget, Nia, Sam, Jack, Haley, Anne, and Gus all raised their hands. Only Mark, Aaron, and Debbie had their hands down. All for new, Aaron and Debbie had completely turned out and stopped listening to them. This is our cover of A Forest, which is one of the Cure's songs, Dusk introduced, stopping right as the intro of the song started. Wow, this is very dark, Trish commented. Yeah, dark in a wicked way, Bridget nodded. bobbing her head to the beat. You might want to remember the inspiration behind this one, Robert, Luna explained. You too, Jack. Do you remember those kids we met at the Autumn Fest last year? Why, yes, I do. The 4 teens and their dog, Robert said. Yep, that's them. Those meddling kids is the name of the song, and it's about them, Luna explained. Thorn was finally starting to calm down of the anxiety of Aaron causing a scene. Listening to these songs beginning to relax her. Thorn hoped that maybe their music could help calm someone else down in the time of their emotional turmoil too. The next one is Trap of Love. We wrote this song to show how much we like the dark side. Most people think of love as something happy, but it can also make you feel trapped when you're in a relationship that isn't exactly what you want, Thorn explained. It's also one of the darkest songs on the record. I love this vibe to this, Nia commented. Dusk was sure to let the full outro of Trap of Love play before she began explaining the next song, as it was arguably a very tense ending. This next one's a special song. You all have heard of Rude Boy and the Cicada-tastic Snow? Dusk asked. Everyone nodded except Aaron. He seemingly completely zoned out, which wasn't a surprise to Thorn. Oh yes, it's one of the ones we're supposed to play at the Autumn Fest this year, Robert nodded. This song was Melody featured the last song ever made, You're Dead Right Mate. We combined it with the demo we created, Good Bad Girls, but only upon awesome manager Gus's suggestion. Ah, shucks, Gus blushed. Talented boys those young men were, Mark said. It's tragedy of what happened to them. Oh, I like how you combined your song with theirs, Jack complimented. That was excellent, Haley commented. That night would be my favorite of the songs yet. Well, don't pick your favorites too soon, because I think you're going to enjoy Love's Curse too, Luna introduced, in a bit of an awkward way. Oh, was influenced by I Put a Spell on You? Trish excitedly asked. Not really, no, Dusk forwardly said. Ford admittedly would have been rephrased as less of a bluntly than that. Speaking of love, It's a Mystery is another love song, but we wanted to highlight the idea of being smitten and pinning over someone, wondering if they felt the same way about you that you feel about them, Thorn explained. Thorn didn't mention the fact that this was inspired the way Velma seemed to be crushing over Ben Ravencroft. Well, until he turned out to be a homicidal maniac who tried to kill them, of course. If anyone's heard of the Sowski and Banshees, this one's another of their song cover, Fear of the Unknown, Dusk introduced. We thought it would be perfect for the place after It's a Mystery, since they both realized that to the idea and fear of asking the person out, worrying that it might damage their relationship. Bridget started quickly dancing in place in the bouncy beat, as Nia and Sam began tapping their feet to the beat. We've made it to the final song, Luna announced, Petrified Bride, a silly little song that was a little interpreted in numbers of many ways. Getting cold feet in a wedding, and running away, being worried about moving forward in a relationship, not wanting to settle down in life, or even running away from a non-romantic relationship, or concept that you have invested yourself in. Oh my gosh, I love this, Anne exclaimed. Thorn was almost not sure they'd performed that in Haley's before, but maybe they haven't paid that much attention, or just wanted to refrain from their love for it. The song went by fast, but Thorn savored every moment of it. Thorn couldn't almost want the album to be over. She was certainly enjoying giving someone a little insight to their creative process behind the songs, with the people that they cared about the most. It felt so good being surrounded by the love with friends and family on such a special night for them. That's our album, folks, Dusk said. I really hope you all enjoyed it, and joining us tonight, we'll make sure you get free copies of our album when it comes out tomorrow, Thorn added. Everyone began clapping. Even Debbie and Aaron clapped, although the claps seemed more obligatory than sincere. Before everyone mingles, we just want a surprise for you girls, Robert suddenly revealed. Jack, would you like to be the one to announce it? It'll be my pleasure, Jack exclaimed. We wanted to surprise you with a little blast from the past, so we put a little photo of your album for your memories as a band. Sam then handed a present wrapped in a blue paper, which he apparently hidden behind his back this whole time. Do you want to do the honors, Dusk? Thorn offered. She figured that Dusk had gone through the tonight with her father's upsetting disapproval of her life. so she deserved to have a special honor. Sure, Dusk eagerly replied as she tore the wrapping off. Oh my god! Fawn's reaction was entirely similar. She looked over at Dusk's shoulder to see the present. It was a homemade album photo with the picture of Fawn, Dusk, and Luna performing at this year's Autumn Fest on the front. The cover was done with the words, "I'm a Hex girl," spelled out in stickers. Dusk opened up the book to see a picture of the girls performing at the Autumn Fest for the first time. Looking at the second image to the right, Fawn suddenly got a rush of memories. It was a picture of the girls singing together in Robert and Fawn's basement. Oh my gosh, I remember that night, Fawn replied. That was when we came up with Earth, Wind, Fire, and Air, right after we got an A on that music class project for Hex Girl. We were so excited. Yeah, we performed at Fawn's house so often, Dusk says as she turned the page. I remember that, Luna exclaimed. Robert's basement had flooded, so we had to go to my house to hang out. I remember this too. Fawn turned the page to see a picture of the girls at Jack's, eating burgers and fries while they wrote the psalm. We wrote of Petrified Bride while we ate, though, right? The next picture was that of not so distant memory. It was a still shot from the Hexed Girl music video, as Fawn, Dusk, and Luna had all pointed their hands towards Gus, as it looked like they were casting a spell on him. But no one would have had that picture except Gus. Were you on this too? Dusk asked. Yep. Jack contacted me the night before our meeting and asked if I could help with this photo album. So I put a couple of still shots from our music video there. Gus smiled. So that's how you knew about the party before we told you, Fawn realized. I thought you were acting weird. Yep, Gus smirked. I just wanted to make sure I kept it a surprise. Thanks for putting this together, everyone, especially you, Jack. It was so sweet of you to all coordinate this, Fawn beamed. Of course, it was so exciting to see you girls finally putting out your first album after so long. I still remember when the three of you used to come to my restaurant sometimes after school when you were 14. Heck, I still even remember when you came in as kids with your folks, Jack laments. Now look how far you've come. Hey, do you remember this one, girls? Robert asked joyfully as he pointed the picture next to the page. It featured Fawn making a goofy face, while she, Dusk, and Luna were writing a song in their band in their apartment. You just moved into this apartment and you girls were writing your music. You just sat down after you finished unpacking and about to write, and it felt like you were doing it on your own. Fawn remembered it well. It was one of the songs that didn't make it to the final cut of their album. Not because it wasn't good, but it was because one of these songs the girls didn't want to share with the world. They wanted to share it with close friends and family, because it was so personal. As Fawn, Dusk, and Luna continued looking for the album, they couldn't help but feel the love for the rest of the party that they have remnants, mingled, and even celebrated. Everything that was Hex Girls and the party had soon died down and everyone had left. That feeling happy lingered. Fawn laid back on her bed. Closing her eyes and the thought that she woke up, the world would still be able to hear the Hex Girls' first album.